I the asshole for kicking out my wife's friend after making my wife cry? I, 29 male, have a wife, 28 female, and she's the most caring soul I know. She always puts people before herself, and we have a son together that's 3 months old. Now, my wife has a best friend called Sarah, and I don't like her. She makes everything about herself, which is a red flag, of course. On Saturday, Sarah came over because they hadn't seen each other for a while. I was in the kitchen, and my son and them were in the living room. He was hungry, so my wife breastfed in front of Sarah. She gasped and said, "That's unhygienic to do in front of people, and no one wants to see your tits." This caused my wife to cry. Am I the asshole for kicking out my wife's friend after making my wife cry? I was furious she made my wife cry because she was breastfeeding in our house. I stormed in while she was looking through our stuff. I said, "Get the F out of my house," and she was saying why. I said, "Don't make me do it myself," and she looked startled and basically ran out. My wife was still crying, so I hugged her. Skip to the evening where my wife and I were watching a movie with our son on the bed. She got a call from Sarah, and she said that we are lucky she isn't pressing charges because I threatened her. I told her F off and blocked her on my and her phone. I don't feel bad for what I said. My baby needed to eat.
Would I be the asshole if I don't share my inheritance with my half-siblings? My dad left my mom when I was 10 years old. I'm 37 now. And he had a baby with his girlfriend and now wife. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and didn't finish college, and she got pregnant with my older brother and then had me and so on. My father was an ass and made the divorce really bad. I ended up moving in with my grandparents. Grandparents ended up helping my mom go back to school, and when she finished, she paid them back, but they wouldn't let her. And they basically disowned my father. My grandmother passed away a few years ago from breast cancer, and my grandfather passed away last year from health complications from COVID. And he left everything to my brother and I. And it wasn't like life-changing money. And they only left my father $500. And they left each of my half-siblings $10,000. My brother and I ended up getting over $100,000 each. My grandfather said he did that because we basically grew up without a father, so he felt it was fair. My father approached my brother and I recently saying that his other kids are struggling financially and that we should split everything with them since we really don't need the money. And he even tried to get my mom to give up hers. My brother and I did not agree to this. Now my father and his wife and half-siblings are all calling us out.
Am I wrong for sitting on my husband's lap during Thanksgiving dinner because all of the chairs at the table were taken? I, 28 female, have been with my husband Sean, 33 male, for 2 years. Married for 5 months. Most of his family are decent people, but his mom can be a little passive-aggressive and tends to criticize me a lot. Sean sees it as her still not getting used to me being around, but I don't know, because she treats his ex, Jalissa, good. Mother-in-law says that Jalissa has been around the family for ages and her past with Sean never affected her relationship with her. Fine. I never minded her attending every holiday and being around until yesterday. We had Thanksgiving at my mother-in-law's house. Sean went there before me, and when I arrived, it was already dinner time. Everyone was seated, and I saw that all the chairs were taken. I asked mother-in-law why she didn't save me a seat, and she said sorry, and that one of her granddaughters decided to show up last minute and the chair was taken. I looked at her, then at Jalissa, who was sitting next to Sean, and tried to point out how I was more deserving of her chair since I'm the daughter-in-law. I know I shouldn't have said it, I know. Mother-in-law flat out said that Jalissa is as much family as me and that it was rude to imply otherwise. Jalissa was nodding confidently while glancing at me. I was so upset I wanted to leave, but decided to just sit on my husband's lap and act as casual as possible. I sat on his lap asking if he was okay with it. Don't worry, I'm petite and he's strong-built. And started eating so casually while smiling and complimenting the food and mentioning to Sean how warm and comfortable his lap was now and then. The table went awkwardly silent. Brother-in-law would try to break the silence and change the subject, but it somehow goes back to being awkward. Mother-in-law and Jalissa were barely eating and were staring at each other, then at me, eyes wide open. I'm sorry, I still cannot get over the fact that your husband's ex is at your Thanksgiving dinner. Minutes later, Jalissa excused herself to the bathroom and so did mother-in-law. It was still awkward, but I did my best to focus on dinner. Sean was eating as well. Later, there was just so much tension and mother-in-law was barely able to speak after Jalissa left. She left early, like right after dinner. Sean and I went home and mother-in-law tried calling, but then called Sean and texted me saying that what I did was inappropriate and that I ruined Thanksgiving dinner and made it awkward. She said it wasn't her fault that chairs were taken and that I could have dragged a chair from the kitchen but acted childishly and made Jalissa and family uncomfortable with how inappropriate I was. I need to mention that even if I took a chair from the kitchen, there was not enough space at the dinner table to fit the chair. Everyone was sitting next to each other. I don't understand why his ex One is why his ex is there, why she has a seat over you. I don't understand. Like, isn't it awkward on her half? Like, why is she there? I would never want to do that. Like people who go to your ex's Thanksgiving dinners and you don't have kids together, why do you go?
Am I the asshole for canceling dinner and going home over something my boyfriend's dog did? I'll preface this by saying that I, 25 female, have been seeing Michael, 31 male, for a while now. He's a really funny, a bit too sarcastic though, guy, and we pretty much get along well. We've been dating for 4 months. Michael likes the food I cook, and he wanted me to come to his house and cook him dinner, and also meet his dog for the first time. I only saw him in pictures/videos. He's overprotective of him. I grabbed all I needed from the store and went over to his house. All went well. I met his dog, then we sat down to talk. Suddenly, his dog started moving in a funny way. Michael was laughing while looking at me. I felt confused. I asked him what the dog was doing, and Michael said that the dog was telling him about me. I was like, okay. And then he flat out said that the dog thought I was ugly. This shocked me completely. I looked at Michael and asked if he was serious. He started explaining that this dog is like that with some people, and that I shouldn't get offended over an animal's behavior. I felt horrible because I, as a person who has always struggled with self-esteem and am no stranger to the word ugly, my issue wasn't the dog, but with what Michael said. It's like he was indirectly giving his opinion about my looks and using his dog as an excuse. Long story short, we had an argument and I ended up canceling dinner and going home. Michael called several times. Then when I picked up, he was lashing out the entire time, saying that I overreacted and that I cannot blame him and punish him for something his dog did. He advised me to get rid of the, quote, toxic sensitivity I have and deal with whatever insecurity I have as soon as possible, because what happened will set the tone for our relationship and eventually our marriage later. I did respond later, which caused another argument. My sister said I messed things up with my stupidity and that I should have laughed it off, but for some reason I wasn't able to. Did I overreact here?
No, fucking run, dude. The way that he was gaslighting the shit out of her, like,
Yeah, what the fuck is toxic sensitivity?
That's a new one.
deal with that insecurity, bitch. I know I called you ugly to your face, but like, deal with it. Deal with it, or else it's gonna affect our relationship. Bro, get the fuck out of here, dude.
And she's over there making dinner.
You know what's funny is dogs have no thoughts. Dogs don't think that person is ugly. Like, dogs don't do that.
Yeah.
Dogs hump everyone.
Dogs think like ball, food, safety. Like, that's what dogs think about. Dogs aren't like, that person is the ugliest bitch I've ever seen in my life.
It's different if he was like joking, because I've said that to my sister, like, oh, my cats don't like you because they think you're ugly.
Yeah.
But it seems like he was being serious. That would fucking piss me off.
Yeah.
People who are dating and
Sure.
and like
Newly
to a
dating,
relationship
yeah.
with each other. Like,
Yeah.
I swear to God, if Billy ever jokingly called me ugly,
Done.
you know what I mean? When we were first dating,
Yeah, first
4
4
months.
months. Yeah.
4 months
That's
in.
rough right there,
fuck
too.
that, dude. He's like, oh, haha. Sounds like you want to fuck your dog. Like, why are you so like, oh, he does that sometimes. Ugly bitches, am I right? It sounds like he was trying to nag you and it didn't work. Then he gaslights you
Yeah.
after that. He's like,
Then it's your fault. Yeah.
yeah, you're so insecure. Like, why are you so insecure? Because my dog thinks you're a fucking ugly bitch. Like, that's what it sounds like.
And he's still doubling down.
Yeah.
In the second phone call with her, he's like, why are you blaming me for something my dog did? I can't control my
he goes,
dog.
here he is. You take it up with him.
It's on FaceTime and it's just
Yeah.
a dog. And he goes, see? He's still doing
And
it.
the dog's he's licking his pee-pee and he's like, see?
He still thinks you're ugly.
That's on him.
Why are you mad at me?
Am I the asshole for getting a bartender fired for not serving a pregnant woman? I, 23 female, bartend on weekends for some side cash. A few weeks ago, a woman came into our bar and she looked about 7 to 8 months pregnant. For context, I'm one of the head bartenders. I was minding my own business, training a new hire around 4 or 5 p.m. One of the other bartenders, Annie, 19 female, came up to me to talk about a ridiculous customer. That customer being the pregnant woman. She wanted a glass of red wine and Annie refused to serve her and suggested we ask her to leave. I looked at her like she had 2 heads. Even if someone looks pregnant, you still have to serve. Am I the asshole for getting a bartender fired for not serving a pregnant woman? You still have to serve them, or that could be a discrimination lawsuit waiting to happen. As much as I didn't like it, I got the glass of wine and minded my 2 cents. I went back to training our new hire when Annie saw the woman with the glass of wine. She called me a baby killer and said I was a terrible person, and at this point the other staff members saw what was going on. Most minded their business, but some told her to cut it out. I said whether we like it or not, someone needed to serve the woman. I wasn't putting my butt on the line for a lawsuit over a glass of wine. She called me terrible for 2 weeks, so I reported her to the GM. For this and other reasons, she was fired.
I'm the asshole for getting up and walking out of dinner when my boyfriend said he forgot his credit card.
I'm 32 and I've been dating my boyfriend who's 36 for 9 months. He has 2 little kids who love going out to eat. We go out once a week each time he happens to forget his credit card to make a payment, and obviously I end up paying. Since we have the kids with us, obviously. But honestly, it's left me broke this month and the month before. I just received a payment for my second job part-time, and we agreed to go out together with the kids, and I even sent him a text reminding him, and he laughed it off. At the restaurant, we had ordered dinner and let our kids order a lot of new stuff on the menu, which was a lot of money. Before we even started eating, I mentioned the credit card just to make sure he didn't forget. He looked at me shocked and then started searching for his pockets. And then looked at me in a sorry way and said, I guess I forgot in the other pair of jeans. I grabbed my stuff, got up, and left. He started freaking out, asking where I was going, and I told him I wouldn't be paying for his kids and this all again. And I just told him to enjoy his dinner. He called me and absolutely lost it on me. He said he couldn't believe that I would just walk out him and the kids. He canceled the whole dinner and just left. Now he's upset with me.